So we are going to learn about finding the equations of graphs using gradients. Okay, specifically, we're going to be talking about linear functions or linear graphs, which would be straight line graphs. Okay, this is the general equation for a linear function. So all linear functions start over here. Okay, Marlon Wabisa, how are you? Okay, and then obviously we have placeholders, which are M and C. So M is what we're going to be focusing on today. We call that the gradient. So M is going to be our focus for today. That would be the gradient. Okay, we are going to work with C a little bit as well, but our main focus for the day is the gradient. I'm not sure why I chose a cookie to write, but that was terrifying. As soon as I wrote it, I was like, yee. There we go. Gradient. It's okay, go see you're not that late. So the next part just says, those are placeholders, right? We all know how variables work. So C can be swapped with Q, which can be swapped with B, which can be swapped with anything. Those are just placeholders. You can literally use any letters. Okay, so this is generally the equation that we are going to use to find equations of straight lines. Okay, now let's talk about the gradients. So I should probably write here in our equation, the gradient will be represented by the M. So you see the coefficient of X, meaning the number in front of X, that will be where the gradient goes. So to work out the gradient, this is my formula. Let's talk about it. It says change in Y values divided by change in X values. Let me explain what I'm talking about. So we have spoken about coordinates, right? Okay, I'm making up coordinates now. 2, 4, and 1, 3. I just made up 2 coordinates now, okay? Let's call this A, and let's call this B. So the change in Y values means the difference of Y values, okay? So tell me in coordinate A, which one is the Y value? Is it 2 or 4? Let's see if we remember how we're supposed to write coordinates. In coordinate A or point A over here, which one is the Y value? Is it the 2 or is it the 4? Okay, great. Seems like we remember. We remember. So the 4 is our Y value in coordinate A, which means in coordinate B, the Y value will be the 3. Wonderful, good one. So when they say change in Y value, they mean the difference. Tell me guys, which operation is difference? Which operation is difference? Thank you. We are on fire. So then you're going to say 4, which is the Y value for A, minus 3, which is the Y value for B. Do we see? And then you're going to divide by the change in X values. So then we're going to take the difference between the 2 and the 1. So it's going to be 2 minus 1. Let's see what our gradient is. What's 4 minus 3? It is 1 over. What's 2 minus 1? Thank you, Lufuno. That would be 1. And 1 divided by 1 is just what, guys? This was a nice one. I didn't even think about it. I swear it wasn't planned. It was just pretty. Thank you, Kamchelo. So then my gradient M will be equal to 1. So do you guys understand what we mean when we say change in Y value over change in X value? Let me check in. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How do we feel about the change in Y values and change in X values? Okay, I see you in the reactions. Not nearly enough, guys. There's 61 of you guys in here. I'm expecting way more reactions than that. Okay, I haven't seen a thumbs down so far, so I'm feeling good. Siam Tanda, there we go. Siam Tanda, where did I lose you? Let's talk about it. Raise your hand. Butle, please DM Simone. She'll be able to help you. Okay, I see your message. Okay, Sia. Hi, Sia.
Hello, ma'am.
Where did I lose you?
Ma'am, you lost me when you said when you started 4 minus 3 over 2 minus 1.
Okay, so Sia, I made up 2 points, right? A and B. Do you see them?
Yes.
So change in Y values is the same as saying the difference in Y values. Do you see I wrote difference there above it?
Yes, ma'am.
So difference is the operation of subtraction. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to find, so then in the numerator, which is at the top, we want the difference of the Y values between the 2 points. And then at the bottom, we want the difference of the X values. So let's check if we did the right thing here. So difference means Y value number 1, which we established is 4. Do you agree?
Mm-hmm.
4 difference, which is subtract, and Y value number 2 is 3.
3.
So Y minus Y. It's like the Y of A minus the Y of B. Do you see?
Yes, ma'am.
Over the X of A minus the X of B. Let's check if we did the right thing. So we said the X of A, which was 2, that's correct, minus difference, the X of B, which is 1. Are you with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. And then we worked it out. So we said 4 minus 3, which is 1, over 2 minus 1, which is 1. And then 1 over 1 is just 1. Do you see now?
Yes, ma'am.
Wonderful. I hope I have found you. I hope I have.
Yes, you did. Thank you, ma'am.
Wonderful. You're welcome. Okay, Zianda, I see you also had a thumbs down. Are you feeling a bit better now? I hope Zianda is also feeling a bit better now, because I also saw Zianda had a thumbs down. If not, you may raise your hand and we can talk about it, okay? So guys, that is how you find out the gradient of a graph. Now, there are a few notes that I want you guys to make. Well, one particular note at this moment. You're welcome, Zianda, okay? You have to start with the same point. So let's look at here. I said YA minus YB over X of A minus the X of B. So you always have to start with the same point. Look over here. I started with the Y of A, and then at the bottom, I started with the X of A. You cannot swap them around. So you can't say the Y of A at the top minus Y of B, and then suddenly say the X of B minus the X of A, because then you're changing it. Okay, then it won't make sense. So you have to have your points in the same order. It does not matter which one is first, you always get the same answer, I guarantee you, as long as the same point is first. Okay, so guys, once you do all of this working out, we can do some interpretation, okay? If you work out the gradient, so if you do this whole formula, y of this minus y of that, this whole formula, this one, don't worry, we're going to do plenty formulas, Buhle. Don't worry, okay? So if you do that whole formula and you get a positive answer, that means your graph will increase. Remember, we did increasing and decreasing graphs. So if your answer is positive or you get a positive gradient, that means you have an increasing graph, which is this one over here. I hope we all remember increasing, decreasing graphs. Okay. And if you have a negative gradient, then your graph will be decreasing. So it will look like so. Okay, pretend that was straight. Does that information make sense? So if you do the calculation, y minus y divided by x minus x, and you get a positive answer, that means your graph is increasing, which means it's going upwards. Okay, if you do that calculation and you get a negative answer, that means your graph will be decreasing, it's going down. Okay, so let us practice calculating the gradient. Okay, I'm going to write the formula over here. M, which is gradient, is equal to change in y. So I'm just going to say yb minus y of a over x of b minus x of a. But before you do that, you first have to find the points. So I made it easy for you guys, and I gave you 2 points. But in this case, they are P and Q. So let me substitute my A and B's with P and Q. Remember, it doesn't matter which one you start with. So I can say Q here and P there, but then with X's, I need to follow the same order. Okay, so now let's substitute. What is the Y coordinate for Q? What is the Y coordinate for Q? Okay, thank you, Zianda and Tando and Oliver, Lefuno. Wonderful. It is 4. 4 minus, what is the Y for P? For the point P, what is our Y coordinate? It's not just 12. Be careful. Look carefully. It is not just 12. Negative 12. Remember, our negatives and positives are very important because they indicate direction. Okay, let me stop here. Do we understand why we have 2 negatives here? I know I may have lost some people. Is there anyone who does not understand why there are 2 negatives there? Raise your hand now so we can talk about it. If you do not understand why there's a negative and another negative. We good? There we go. Oratile?
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Ma'am, I started late. I had network problems, ma'am, so I don't really understand how we got the 2 negatives, ma'am.
Okay, Oratile, we just substituted. Do you see the formula I have here?
Yes, ma'am.
It says you must take the Y for Q, subtract the Y for P. What is my Y coordinate for Q, Oratile? Let's look. These are my 2 points.
4.
It is 4, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Minus, so the first negative is this minus that's over here. Do you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
Minus, what is the Y coordinate for P?
Negative 12, ma'am.
See where the second negative comes from?
Yes, ma'am.
There we go. That's why we have 2 negatives. Okay?
Thank you, ma'am.
You're welcome. Okay, so let's see if Slindile has a question. Yes, Slindile. Slindile, you may unmute.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
I already got the answer.
Okay, but let me first explain, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me if your answer was matching with mine, okay? Okay, let's see, guys. So we've established what the x's are, the difference in the x's, right? So now in the y's, excuse me. So now let's work with x. What is the x coordinate for Q? The x coordinate for Q, for the point Q. -3. Thank you very much, Tiamo. -3. This time I didn't put it in brackets because there's nothing in front of it. Okay. Minus, what is the x coordinate for P? Thank you. That would be just 5. Now let's simplify this. Equals. right? What is two positives? What are two positives going to give you? This minus minus, what's going to happen there? These two positives are going to give you what? These two negatives. Wow, I just said these two positives. I can't believe it. Thank you. I'm going to give you a positive. 12 over negative 3 minus 5. Now what's 4 plus 12? 4 plus 12. 16 over what's negative 3 minus 5. Ooh, we're back to integers. The nice thing is you have a makeshift number line over here, right? So you can actually count over negative 8. So now we have 16 divided by negative 8. What happens when we divide a positive and a negative? A positive and a negative, when you divide them, what do you get? Thank you, Kamugelo, a negative. And what's 16 divided by 8? That would be a 2. So now that means the gradient for the graph A, which is this one over here, numbered A, that means the gradient is negative 2. So I can't remember who said they came late. May I please explain again? Do we all understand? Let me have a check-in point. Do we understand? Thumbs up, thumbs down. Okay, I see thumbs up. And the reactions as well. Okay, I think what's important here is that we remember the formula and we place our points in the correct order. Okay, so now that was easy because I gave you the points. When you are given a graph, you have to go find the points. So now let's make this graph a bit bigger. Let's zoom in. We have to find 2 points that we can use to find our gradient. Okay, now I like identifying easy points, right? For instance, this one. This is a point that doesn't have decimals and complications and all of that. We also have another one here at the origin. We also have another one there. So you only need 2 points, guys. You only need 2 points. Now tell me, what are the coordinates of A? I'm going to name this A. What are the coordinates of A? Anyone? Let's see. Okay, we didn't write it correctly, but that would be correct. Thank you, Gatekwa and Pandu. We remember how I like my points to be written. That would be -1 and 4. What are the coordinates of B? Coordinates of B. It is right in the origin. Yes. 0, 0. Okay, let's remind ourselves of the formula. Gradient is the y of A minus the y of B over the y, the x, oh, I'm enjoying writing the y of, over the x of A minus the x of B. Okay, now let's substitute. What is the y coordinate for A? What is my y coordinate for A? Four minus the y coordinate for B. Zero over the x coordinate for A. -1 minus the x coordinate of B. Thank you, 0. So 4 minus 0 is just 4 over -1. So what's 4 divided by -1, people? 4 divided by -1. Thank you very much, Zeketelo. -4. Does that make sense? Remember what we said about negative and positive gradients? Does it make sense that the gradient for this graph is negative? Did we remember? Did anybody write the notes? We said negative gradients means the graph is decreasing. So that does make sense. Do we see? Negative gradient means the graph is decreasing, and that does make sense. Exactly, Zianda. Okay, I think we're getting better at this gradient stuff. Let's do another one. Let's find 2 points over here that we can use. Yes, Zeketelo. So before we even find out this gradient, do we expect this gradient to be positive or negative? Let's check in. Do we expect this gradient to be positive or negative? Exactly, positive because it is increasing. Lesedi, remember, increasing function, it's going up, means it's a positive gradient. If it's a decreasing one going down, that would be a negative gradient. So before we even work out the gradient, we are expecting the answer for this gradient to be positive. So let's do it. Let's find 2 points that we can use to figure out the gradient. I see a point over there. And I see another one right over there, actually. So let's name these a different thing, G and H. What are my coordinates for G and what are my coordinates for H? Remember, guys, if you find 2 different points on this graph, you will still get the correct answer. Use the same method. It does not matter which 2 points you're using. The coordinates of G, 4 and 2. And my coordinates for H. Careful, don't swap them around. Yes, 2 and 1. Now, formula. See, guys, this is easy. You're getting used to it. I feel like you guys are getting the hang of it. Formula is M equals the y of G minus the y of H over the x of G minus the x of H, which is equal to the y of G is 2 minus, what's the y for H? What's my y for H? We can't only be having 2 responses. There's 70 of us. Even if your responses in the chat, guys, I expect you guys to participate, please. Thank you. That is looking a little bit better. That's how the chat should look. Okay, that would be 1 over. What is my x for G? X coordinate for G. There we go. This is how I want my chat to be. This is fabulous. That would be 4 minus, what is the x coordinate for H? 2. So what's 2 minus 1? 1 over 4 minus 2. 2. So my gradient for this graph is positive a half. Nice. I feel like we've gotten the hang of this, but I want to do one more. Oratile, yes, Oratile.
Hi, ma'am.
Hello.
Can I ask a question, ma'am?
Mm-hmm.
So, ma'am, do you choose any coordinates that you want, ma'am, or are they gonna give us like? So you choose any that you want, ma'am.
If they give you a graph or a delay, then you choose any coordinates. Okay.
Oh, okay, ma'am.
But if they give you points, like remember the first one. In the first
Yes,
one, you
ma'am.
didn't have because I gave you specific points. You just
Yes,
use the
ma'am.
you are given. But if I give you a
Mhm.
graph like this, and I say just choose any 2 points, then it doesn't matter. Just make sure you choose ones that are easy to read. So
Okay,
that you are,
thank you, ma'am.
you're welcome.
Okay.
Okay, guys. So remember, you choose any 2 coordinates. Okay, so let's go with this one. Let's go with this one. We have, are we expecting a positive or a negative gradient? Negative. Beautiful. Buhle. Yes. Yes, Ratabile, we are expecting a negative gradient. Okay, let's choose accurate points. What accurate points do we see on this graph? Let us not guess. Okay. Which absolutely accurate coordinates do you see? Let's see. I see this one, -2 and 5. Yep. That's the one I see as well. 2 and -5. Yes. Okay, what should I name these ones? Okay, I don't want to use M because, you know, M is the gradient. So let's use C and D. C and D, or B and C, I'm sorry. I already settled on C and D, I'm not sure why. Okay, formula M equals the Y of D minus the Y of C divided by the X of D minus the X of C. So see, guys, it doesn't matter the order. Doesn't mean C has to be before D, as long as the same coordinate is first. So look here carefully. D is first on the Y and is first on the X. C is second on the Y and second on the X. So you just have to make sure the same coordinate is first and the same one is second. Otherwise, your formula will not work. Okay, now let's see. Let's see. C, thank you, Kutlwano, is -2, 5. And D is what? Where's D? There it is there. 2 and -5. Thank you very much. Now let's substitute. What did I start with? I started with D. So then you're going to have to say -5 minus 5, okay, over what's the X? 2 minus 2. So for anyone who might be confused, the first negative comes from just subtraction. The second negative comes from the coordinate. Okay, so then this is going to be -5 minus 5 over 2 plus 2, which is -10 over 4. That means the gradient for this graph is -5 over 2. Unless your teacher says you must simplify, then it's fine. You can leave it as -5 over 2. Okay. Are we good? Are we good? Hello, Gazi, please DM Simone. She'll be able to help you. Wonderful. Now, I want us to see something cool with our gradient, guys. The gradient just tells you where to find the next point. So let's start here by C. -5 means we're going down, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then over +2, which means we're going to the right twice. 1, 2. Huh. We're on the next point. Let's do it again. Let's go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right 2, 1, 2. We are on the next point. Do you see what the gradient does? It directs you to points on the graph, guys. Isn't that cool? I think that's pretty cool, if you ask me. And my eraser doesn't want to erase what I just drew there. Okay, I guess we're going to just live with it. Okay, are we good? Can we have a brain break? Let's have a brain break. Okay. Would you guys rather have a head the size of a tennis ball or the size of a watermelon? You're either going to have a really small head or a massive one. Let's hear what you guys would rather have. Zianda, do you have a question? Or are you telling me which size head you want?
Now I'm telling you which size head I want.
Let's hear. Zianda, would you rather have a very small one or a large one?
A very small one, ma'am.
Tennis ball, Zianda. Do you know
Ma'am,
how
imagine
small it is?
having a watermelon head. You know when you have
Rather.
braids. No, when you have braids, ma'am, your head is already heavy. Imagine having braids and a huge head.
Let's cut your hair.
Ow, tennis ball, ma'am. Ow,
Small, guys. That is too small. You're gonna look horrific with a tennis head. I personally will never ask for a tennis ball head, guys. I'll go for watermelon. Actually, I don't know. Now I'm taking it back because I'm having doubts. I'm having serious doubts. Imagine having a small head there. Yee. But anyways, let's hear the next one. Would you rather have knives for fingers or licorice for fingers? So would you rather have sweets or knives? Let's see the dangerous people in this world. Oratile,
Hi, ma'am.
what would you rather have, Oratile?
Personally, ma'am, I'd choose the licorice, ma'am, but the problem is diabetes, ma'am.
The problem is not that people are choosing knives. How are you going to get dressed, guys? You're going to just cut your clothes.
Because, ma'am, once you have diabetes, ma'am, it's charm.
Like, why would you eat your fingers though? You guys are dodgy AF. You guys
But,
are
ma'am,
dodgy.
but, ma'am, it makes sense, ma'am.
Mm-mm.
It
No, it
does.
does.
Ma'am.
But the people who are saying knives are concerning me.
Or maybe, ma'am, if you don't have a sweet tooth, ma'am, I understand, but ma'am, ma'am, sweet is better, ma'am. Personally.
Wow. Slindile is crying because she's like, I don't know what to choose. Let's see what's next. Oh my goodness. Would you rather eat a beetle or be stung by a wasp? Novoyo?
Hello, ma'am.
Hi, Novoyo.
Ma'am, I would rather be stung by a wasp.
You don't want to eat a beetle?
No. No, I don't.
Okay. All right. Sepang is like, it's protein. Oh, you guys are concerning me. I can't. These questions are meant to make you think, Slintile. It's a brain break. You must think. Protection order on the wasp. What? See, I'm trying to stop eating bugs. Please. Please. It's bad if you're going to get suspended because you're eating bugs. You are concerning us. You are concerning us as a belief. You. Would you rather kiss a frog or have a snake wrapped around you? Ooh, this is a bad one. Kiss a frog or have a snake wrapped around you? Yes, Retabile. Yo, guys, you know how slimy frogs are. Ugh.
Ma'am, I'd rather have a snake wrapped around me.
Samesies. Samesies. I will never kiss a frog. Nope. I love frogs, but I'm not. Nope. I'm shy, guys. I decided while I was typing this. I was like, ain't no way I'm kissing a frog. No way. Simone, what would you rather have? Kiss a frog
Yes, I would kiss a frog.
Why did I?
I typed it in the chat. Like, a frog is not gonna kill me. It's not gonna bite me. It's not gonna like do anything, to like
Except
scare
leave
me as
slime
much as
in your
it may.
mouth.
Yeah,
Mm.
that's just gross, not deadly.
I won't sleep for this week, so don't even. Guys, frogs won't turn into princes, okay? Take it from me. I wouldn't know because I'd never kiss a frog. It's disgusting. It's ill, it's nasty. But it will not turn into a prince. Trust me. You might turn into... I can't. I'm done with you guys. That is enough brain break. You guys are actually breaking my brain instead of giving my brain a break. Hey. No, I don't want a pet snake, okay? That's taking it far. Like, imagine you are sleeping and like you can't find it, is gone. Okay, it's fine. Brain break is over. Let's stretch. Oh, that was a nice stretch. Okay. Let's stretch. Whew. There we go. There we go. Okay. Are we ready? Chat, we're back to the lesson. Now we're going to find the equation of the graph. Okay. We've already spoken about the gradient, and we know that there is a C value that we haven't spoken about. There's a C value there. So I'm here to tell you that that C value would be the y-intercept. Do you remember that we spoke about the y and x intercept? Is that my laptop? That was a very loud sound. Okay, so this C, who remembers what the y-intercept is? Let's see if we were listening. Let's see if we were listening. Who remembers what the y-intercept is? Anyone? Who remembers what the y-intercept is? This is in the quiz today, guys. No, from the previous lesson, we did intercepts. Who remembers what the y-intercept is? Okay, Tando, I was about to say, okay, let's hear what Tando has to say. Yes, Tando?
Hello, ma'am.
Hello.
So the y-intercept is the y-axis that is the coordinate that intersects the y-axis.
There we go. Thank you very much. It is the point where the graph cuts the y-axis. Guys, did we forget? Guys, when I say have a pen and paper and write down, you guys think I'm joking. You see, you guys could have just paged back and looked at what the y-intercept is. Okay, so once you figure out the gradient, so you work out the gradient by the whole m equals this and this and this, and you substitute it there by where you see m, right? And then you just look at your y-intercept and you substitute it by c, and we are sorted. We don't listen. Now, here are special types of graphs. Let's talk about the vertical and horizontal graphs. Okay, this graph is the graph x equals 3. I've already told you. Okay, now let's try and find the gradient of this graph. What's that point over there? And what is that point over there? Let me see. B and C. Someone said B and C previously. B and C. What are the coordinates for B and the coordinates for C? The coordinates for B and the coordinates for C. Anyone? You guys, your brains take breaks forever and ever, amen, and then disappear. There we go. Mkateko and Kanyo have told us the coordinates. So the coordinate for B is 3, 3, and that for C is 3 and 1. Now let's try to work out the gradient for this. Okay, so gradient is the y of B minus the y of C over the x of B minus the x of C. Okay, so the y of B is 3 minus 1 over the x's are the same, 3 minus 3. And this will give you 2 over 0. Can you divide anything by 0, guys? What do we call it when something is divided by 0? What do we call it when you divide a number by 0? Thank you very much. Therefore, the graph, the gradient is undefined. I'm going to block the chat if we do not come back to the lesson. Okay? So then the gradient is undefined. So whenever you see a vertical graph, a graph that goes up to down, then you don't have to go through all of this working out. You can just immediately say the gradient is undefined. Okay, there is no gradient. Now let's see what happens when you have a horizontal graph. This one goes from left to right. So I want you guys to tell me what the coordinate of that point is and what the coordinate of this point is. Let's call this E and F. Can I have the coordinates of E and F? Coordinates for E and F. Thank you, Kanyo. E would be -2 and 2. Thank you, Kumachelo. And F would be 4 and 2. Now, back to our formula. M equals the y of E minus the y of F over the x of E minus the x of F. Now let's substitute. The y of E is 2 minus 2 over the x of E, which is 4 minus -2. This will give you 0 over 6. What's 0 divided by anything, guys? 0 divided by anything is how much? 0. So then we can conclude that the gradient of a horizontal graph is always 0. Do we get those two concepts? I'm checking in now on the gradients of a horizontal and the gradient of a vertical graph. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Thumbs up, thumbs down on the gradient of a horizontal or vertical graph. If you forget, guys, you can always just work it out. And then you'll see that it ends up being 0 or it ends up being undefined. Okay. The important thing is to know the formula here. Yes, Tando.
Ma'am, I just wanted to find out when the answer is 0, do we say it's undefined or do we just write the 0?
It's a 0. Undefined is something different, okay?
Ma'am, can you please explain the difference between the two? Because I thought it means the same.
Okay, undefined means you divide by 0. Look here. Where's the 0? Is it in the numerator or the denominator?
Denominator.
Wonderful. Where's the 0 here? Is it in the numerator or the denominator?
Numerator.
Do you see the difference?
Okay, ma'am.
So
Thanks.
0 divided by something is 0. That you can do. But 2 divided by 0 doesn't exist.
Mm,
You can't
yes.
divide anything but by 0. Do you see?
Okay, ma'am.
There we go. Okay, guys, so we spoke about how to find the formula of a graph. Let us practice. Okay, no, but all these don't have y-intercepts. Isn't that convenient? Let's just talk about the last concept, okay? The bigger the gradient of a graph, the steeper the graph is. So let's look here. I made you nice graphs over here. Let's look here. This graph, which one has the biggest gradient? Let's start there. Which one has the bigger gradient? We have y equals 10x, y equals 5x, y equals 3x, y equals 2x. We have 4 graphs. Which ones has the biggest gradient? Y equals? I'm gonna need more people to participate in this. There we go. Y equals 10x. Guys, 10 is greater than 2. Don't look at the graph, look at the gradient. Remember, the gradient is the one in front of the x, okay? So you need to look, what's in front of my x here? A 10. Here is a 5. Here is a 3. Here is a 2. Okay, that 2 is terrible, so I'm not going to highlight it. There we go. So the bigger gradient is a 10. So the bigger your gradient, the closer to the y-axis your graph is. That's what steepness means. Okay, can you see that the 10 is the closest to the y-axis? This is the y-axis over here, right? And the second biggest, what's the second biggest after 10? What is the second biggest after 10? 5x. There we go. It's the second closest to the y-axis. Do we see that? 3x is the third biggest, and it's the third closest to the y-axis. And 2x is the fourth biggest, so it's the fourth closest to the y-axis. Okay, so the bigger your gradient, the steeper your graph. Do we see that? I hope we can see that. Now, our lesson is technically up, but I do want to do a little bit of enrichment with you guys. Let's say you don't have the y-intercept. Let's say you don't have the y-intercept and you want the equation of your graph. So remember, we said y is equal to mx plus c. Now we worked out the gradient of this graph and said it was what? Who remembers? Let me see. -2. I'm back to P and Q now before anyone gets lost. I'm back here at number A with P and Q. Okay. So we just worked out that M is -2. So wherever you see a M, you put a -2x plus C. So how do you guys think we can work out this C if we didn't have a graph? Remember I said C is your y-intercept, right? But in this case, we don't have our y-intercept because we don't have a graph. So we want to know how much that C is. Does anyone have an idea how we can work that out? Your biggest hint is algebra. That's your biggest hint. Does anyone have an idea of how we would work this out? Oratile, yes?
Hi, ma'am.
Hello?
Ma'am, I think we move the C like to jump the equals sign, ma'am, I think.
Okay, but we have a lot of variables here. Do you agree, Oratile?
Yes, ma'am.
We have a Y and an X and a C. But here, let's talk about coordinates, Oratile.
Yes,
What are
ma'am.
coordinates made of?
Ma'am?
An X and a?
Oh, why?
So if we have a Y and a M and a X, can't we work out C?
I think we can, ma'am.
We can. By doing what? What do we do with this X and Y?
Then don't we use the rule for Calculating the gradient.
No, we already have the gradient. Now we want C, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So what do you think,
Um,
guys? In the chat, let's help each other. What do you think we're going to do with that X and Y? It's a magic word that starts with S. There we go. Substitute, guys. Substitute. So wherever you see a Y, you can put 4 is equal to -2, and the X is -3 equals, nope, not equals, plus C, excuse me, plus C. So 4 equals, what's -2 multiplied by -3?
+6, ma'am.
+6, beautiful, Oratile, plus C. Now we want the C to be on its own, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So what are we going to do to the 6?
Ma'am, I think it's gonna jump the equals. No.
Yes, it is.
Oh,
And what happens when it goes to the other side? It becomes
a negative.
a negative. So we're going to have 4 minus 6. Therefore, C is how much, Oratile?
-2.
-2. Boo, 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 boo. Therefore, my equation is, now we have your gradient and you have the C. So my equation of my graph is -2x plus the C that you just found out is -2. So that'll be -2x minus 2. That was beautiful, Oratile.